FM, playing all your light favorites. There's Sam Smith and Diamonds. Hey, it's Doug Reese hanging out with you on this Thursday morning in for Morning Dave. And, of course, it's Thursday morning. It's that time of the morning where we're going to check in with Phillip Statler from Statler Financial Services and get an update on what's going on with the markets. How you doing, Phillip?
Hey, doing well today, Doug. I hope you are well, too. You're kind of winding down your week there, having to get up really early. So, but I know Dave's glad to have you in his seat. But, yesterday when you and I spoke, the futures weren't looking really well. A lot of red ink. Now, I will say they still ended up red, but not near as bad as they started out the morning. We ended up with the Dow Industrial 30s down less than 0.2%, down $42 to 30,274. The S&P 500 down 0.2 to $3,783, down a little over $7.50. The NASDAQ was the big loser yesterday, down 0.25%. That was $28 to 11,149. So nothing drastic on the downside yesterday, but like I was saying yesterday, the big thing to come out yesterday was oil. And the OPEC plus nations did come together. They finished up their meeting and they actually cut production on the high side. So they're going to cut 2 million barrels of production per day starting the 1st of November. So we'll see how that affected oil prices here in just a few moments. But as we look at today and some of the economic news is Thursday, and Thursday is always going to be jobs day. And we look at jobs today, we had the highest first-time claims since June is what one report says. Another report says the highest since August. So they need to get their numbers straight. But it came in at 219,000 first-time claims. That was way more than the 203,000 expected. And that was a big jump from the 190,000 we saw last week. Continuing claims is something we continue to watch, and they bumped up just a little bit from 1.35 million to 1.36 million as we continue to kind of keep an eye on jobs, because that's one of the things the Fed is going to continue to watch, is those numbers. Now, I talked about oil, but let's look at what oil is going to do and what the fear is now as we talk about oil prices going up. Right now, President Biden says he's going to offset that by continuing to release funds release oil from the federal supply. Not so sure that's a good idea, but he's trying to do everything he can to keep oil prices low going into the final midterm elections here in November. But the big thing we have to look at when it comes to oil is what's it going to do to inflation? Because if oil prices go back up like they were, hit that $120, $130 a barrel, we remember what that did to gas prices, right? They were up there to $4.20, $4.30 a gallon. And that's very well where we could be again the last part of this year as we see oil prices starting to go up because of that. The other thing that does is it gives the Fed more ammunition to continue to jack up interest rates, because that's going to those increased prices on oil is going to actually increase inflation. The Fed trying to slow inflation by increasing interest rates. So it's not looking real positive right now for either inflation or oil, unfortunately. We did have a couple things. This is really the first week of earnings season. We did have a couple companies report. ConAgra came out and they reported a better than expected quarterly profit in sales. They reaffirmed their full year guidance. But when I last looked, it wasn't helping them a whole lot this morning. Well, it did. It flipped around. They were down earlier. Now they're up about 0.5% going into the start of the day. The other report that we had come in was McCormick, the spice maker. They missed on earnings per share. They missed by about 7 cents, came in at 69 cents a share Revenue basically was in line with what everybody expected it to be. McCormick said they're really having issues now because they're having to raise prices to help offset some of their increased cost. So that's then, of course, sales are coming down a little bit. McCormick is unchanged right now this morning, but they were down 1.5% yesterday. The only other thing we got to talk about, don't have any more earnings to talk about, but I did want to mention Peloton. Peloton's kind of been in the news lately. They got a deal with Hilton where they're going to put Pelotons in all the Hilton owned hotels um, as and part of their exercise program. But the big thing I want to talk about today is they're chopping another 500 jobs, which is about 12% of the remaining workforce. Um, they've already cut jobs twice, I believe, throughout the last probably 6 months. But the CEO has come out and basically said that he's giving the fitness company another 6 months. And if he can't get it turned around in 6 months, then he doesn't believe Peloton is likely to be a viable standalone company, meaning it will need to be part of some other company's production. Um, Not really hurting them today. They were down 4% yesterday, up about 0.25% right now. As we as we start today, we are heading down. Not quite as far as down as yesterday's morning, but we're still heading down this morning. The Dow's down 0.25%. That's $80. We've got the S&P 500 down 0.25%. That's almost $9. The Nasdaq 100 is down about 0.1%. That's down about $11. So from that standpoint, not looking too bad, considering what's happening worldwide right now. Looking at the commodity side of the coin, we've got silver up about 0.4%, gold up a little over 0.1%, and then crude oil basically flat right now at $87.75 a barrel. Let's just mention natural gas because natural gas is going to become a big player here as heating oil becomes a big deal. We got natural gas right now up over 2.5% this morning to $7.11. So with that, that's where we are to start out the day. We'll have today and tomorrow. Tomorrow's a big day when it comes to the actual government unemployment numbers for the month, and we'll look at those in the morning. Hey, until then, don't forget that we developed our core retirement design to help people design the retirement they always dreamed of, to make sure the risk they have matches up with the risk they should have in their current portfolio. Give us a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule your core retirement design, and then join us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk 730, 95.3 FM.
All right, Phillip, thank you very much for the update, and we will talk to you again tomorrow morning.
All right, buddy, sounds good.
This is your captain speaking. We're